Colosseum Road to Freedom is a PS2 exclusive set in Rome. Came out in 2005 to mixed reviews, and it's been buried under the shadow of other games about Rome, including a game called Shadow of Rome. And a lot of games about Rome came out in 2005, same year this one came out. So it seemed to be a big year for ancient Rome games. You start the game answering questions about yourself, like where are you from? This chooses what you will look like and what race you are. Then you answer other questions that seem to have vague effects on your character. I wish I could see what these choices mean and affect, but as it stands, it's more of a choose a preset character and less of create a character. You then start your life as a slave, fighting for people's pleasure and to earn money. This acts as a tutorial, and I think it did an okay job, but it could have done far better. It mainly is teaching you how to pick up things, and you can pick up things in 4 different ways. L1 triangle picks it up for your head, L1X picks it up in general, L1 circle or L1 square picks up for right and left hand respectively. And although those two are finicky, those are also the same buttons you use to throw your weapon, which means sometimes that happens when I'm trying to pick up something. Also, tapping L1 twice picks up tablets. And in my opinion, that's way too many fucking grab buttons. And while I can see why they did it, and I can see some benefits to it, I can think of much easier solutions to do the same. Like, how about this? If you didn't want to have just one grab button, if you really needed more than one grab button, well, what if you just hold L1 and press the D-pad in the direction you wish to place the item? And as for a general pickup, just double tap L1, and if you want to throw things, R1 plus the D-pad pointing in the direction of the item you wish to throw away. Either that or an inventory menu, because I like inventory menus a lot. Anyway, after fighting enough and glitching the game enough, you get bought by a man named Magirius. He agrees to free you if you earn 1 million, whatever this currency is. It has a big S there, but I thought they use denarius, so I'm not really sure what the S is. From here, you have your haircut, and you are taught more basics, like how to attack. Again, the tutorials need to be a little better, as there's a whole bunch I didn't learn until the game was almost halfway over. But basically, you have an upper, lower, and 2 middle attacks. What I didn't figure out, though, until like a quarter of the way through the game, is that you want to aim at the spot with no armor. If it's all armored, then you just want to hit them in the back or find a breakaway weak spot point. I should have probably figured that out, but I guess I thought that they were just like different speeds and powers of attack and didn't realize the game was about aiming, you know? Like if I'm playing Tekken, you know? If I kick the leg a whole bunch of times, just like spamming that area, it doesn't cause more damage by doing that. But in this game, there's like limb damage and stuff. So if you can just destroy the leg, they're just out. Which not only made this more enjoyable and gave me some strategy, but also it made combos to hit multiple weak spots awesome, because I could like go for 2 swings at the leg and then 1 at the side if the dude wasn't holding a shield or something, you know? There's also a roll, which is a very unreliable way to avoid damage, but it's more so to gain distance away from the enemy. And then there's a dodge, which is the most reliable way to avoid damage, but it's not totally reliable either. As a slave, you start in a room with other slaves, but the better you rank up as a gladiator, the better the rooms you get and the stronger you look. I went from this to this, and you have 50 days to pay back your debt. The game does not tell you this though, and no matter what, the game ends at day 50. There are training days. These days, you pick a trainer to train with, and then you just press buttons at the right time. There are 3 trainers, but personally, the one that makes you work out is the only one really worth having, as it levels up parts of your body that makes you take less damage, and specifically your chest stomach area you never get armor for. So you might as well level that one up as high as you can, which is just level 10 fully, and then level the rest of your body up. Each part of your body is represented here with damage, and if any part goes from green to yellow to red and then finally it's clear, if it hits clear, you're dead. Training day also ends with you picking your meal from the cook, which is a clever way of how you level up. My only complaint is that the schedule is sporadic. You don't know if the next day is going to be a training day or a fighting day, and that's kind of annoying. I do love that in training days, it's not just you. There are other gladiators too, making the world feel more lived in. Same with when you leave your bedroom. It just makes the world seem more believable. Now, on fighting days, you have a list of fights you can do. You have to do them in order, otherwise you skip fights and jump ahead on the list. There are basic weak items for you to grab when you first enter the area, and you can pick up weapons, and you can choose your tablets, and tablets, they affect skills and special move. And after each fight there's a healer, and he's pretty costly at the start of the game, but towards the end you have a lot of money and you can afford him. Note that the amount of money you win is only like a small percentage of the actual amount, as it goes directly to paying off your debt, and you don't get a choice in that matter. Fighting is either about killing all the opponents, surviving a time limit, or doing a battle scenario, which I'll talk about later. You also have a stamina bar, which not only decides how much weight you can carry, but also decides how much you can attack before becoming slow and out of energy. After you win, you can pick up the items that were dropped. That is if the cleaners haven't picked it up already, as they run out cleaning up bodies and picking up items. And on one hand, I really like this, because it's better than just bodies just vanishing, you know. But on the other hand, you can lose your most valuable items, and I do hate that. If you could kill them before they leave and get your items back, that would be completely different. But once the cleaners grab your stuff, it's gone for good. And yeah, the game doesn't tell you this, but you can grab all those leftover items and sell them or keep them for yourself at the end of every fight. There's also a little shop you can buy, but it's also kind of a little hidden, so you may not even know it existed unless you kind of ran around a bit. You can also upgrade your items here too, and items have 3 stats: the damage they cause / protect from, how easy they are to knock off, and how much they weigh. Also, you can only level them up to yellow status. I think it's like gray, white, blue, yellow. So if your thing is at yellow, do not buy it again, because they will charge you money again and it won't get upgraded. Your thighs, body, biceps cannot get armor, but the rest of your body can. And you gotta choose wisely though, as you can easily carry too much and become too slow. Like, this is the outfit I wanted the whole game, but I never became strong enough to wear it, and that sucks. If you take your items outside of designated areas, you will fight an endless horde of Roman guards until you're dead, so never do that. There are also days where you're fighting in the Colosseum. There's no shop here, and the biggest, most important battles usually happen here. Like scenario fights, in which you reenact scenarios for the audience enjoyment. Or duels, where you fight one-on-one against basically a boss level. There's also ones where you have to fight against wild animals, such as bulls or such as tigers. And when you die, you can lose all your items and a good chunk of money, and I really don't like that. I'd prefer to just be dead. That sounded so bad, but no. I'd prefer to just be dead and reload from a save spot, because losing your equipment can be as bad of a punishment as basically starting the game over. Sadly, you can only save at the beginning of each day, which is not nearly enough times. There are also times where the Caesar chooses if someone lives or dies, and that's pretty neat. The AI is not very good, but that can be used to your advantage. Story, pretty bare bones. At one point I was asked to fight a guy named Commodus and stage the fight, and I said no. And then I kept saying no. And every few days I would be asked again, and I'd be like, no. And finally I said yes, because I figured the game just wouldn't give up on that. And I'm glad I said yes, because I didn't realize that's how I actually start the story. So why do they even give me the option to say no, if that means I can't have a story? But that does mean I could have finished the game and never have started the story, really. Well, anyway, it turns out Commodus is the Caesar, and he was an actual Caesar in real life too. And I think I knew that, it just didn't click. I mean, even when I saw him, despite the fact he looks like Commodus from history, it still didn't click, because I guess my brain just assumed he looks like Joaquin Phoenix from Gladiator, because that's who played him in that. Anyway, I tried not to lose the fight against him. And what happens if you do that is an endless army of Romans fight you until you die, so you don't do that. So fighting him after reloading a save, I fought him and purposely lost, making sure to lose with the worst equipment as I didn't want to lose my shit. I ended up winning my freedom somewhere on day like 40-ish, and I chose my freedom, and then the game just ends with like a blurb of text. So anyway, so I reloaded to save, and I chose to keep fighting so I could continue seeing the story. And what happens now is I get to keep all the money from my fights this time, so that's cool. And I can also buy my own slaves now, so that's less cool. Also, if you buy a male slave, they fight with you. If you buy a woman slave, they just gives you perks. They are literally an object that gives you perks. Like, what the fuck kind of bullshit is that? I don't like that. On top of that, you have to buy the slaves from the dude who sold you. And why would I do that? Why would I give him business? He sold me. I want to kill him. Good to know that being a slave taught me nothing, and that my guy's just totally fine with slavery. Anyway, eventually you get to train with Commodus alone, and you kill him, as he has no guards to save him. The Narcissus is blamed for it, and used as your cover-up, which historically, he did kill Commodus, but it didn't happen that way. He drowned him in a bath, but this is semi-historical. There's a lot of historical things, but then they switch up the history just a tad in different spots, you know? Anyway, then you kill the only guy who knew it was you who actually killed Commodus as a final battle. And then you gain favor with the Emperor. And that's about it for story. Overall, I like this game. It's good, but it's got some flaws keeping it from being great. Here's my proposal to make the game great. That is, if anyone wants to make a new Gladiator game like this. I would, if I had the money. First off, implement a rival system, like in the Middle-earth games. Like, if one survives a battle, make sure he's stronger the next time, and he hates you more or something. Or have someone mess with you at training, or dueling, or at your meal or something. Just make the fights more personal. Second off, more save states. Third off, this game already is a little loose with history, so let's have some woman gladiators. They did exist. They were rare in history, but they did exist. On top of that, if you're like, no, we can't do that, blah. The game already had a woman gladiator, so how about, yeah, we can do that. Just add more, and maybe also let you play as a woman gladiator if you want. Fourth, character creation. So you can go more in depth with your character and what they will look like and what things are on them, etc. Fifth, a better tutorial. Not a longer one. Please God, not a longer one. We don't need super long ones. Just a better one. One that teaches better and at opportune times. 6. A story that's in the period, but not directly one tied to history as to not change events. That way you can take more liberties on what happens. Oh my god, I almost forgot this. And what about that 50-day thing? Get rid of it. That's stupid. Why have a 50-day time limit? Anyway, that's enough changes for now, but like, what they have is a good blueprint, in my opinion. Just throw some of that stuff at it and you can make it better. And apparently it has 2 sequels that are on the PSP exclusive and called entirely different names, so you would never know it's the same series ever. So I'll be excited to check those out, but I assume they didn't get high praise as I've never heard of either of them. Anyway, I like this game. It's worth a play. Not a masterpiece. It can be really, really, really fucking hard. And it has a lot of things annoying about it. But it's got a good blueprint. This is the blueprint for a good game is there. I like it. It just could be better. Gladiator Begins is the second game in the series. The first I already covered, and it was called Colosseum Road to Freedom. And with such vastly different names, how the fuck was anyone supposed to know this is the same series? But it is. And despite it being the second game, it's actually a prequel. Not that it matters that much, as they really don't tie into each other than Commodus existing in both games. He's just younger here. A lot of the game is straight up the same. They use the same assets, the same sound effects, and the same music. Gladiator Begins is a PSP exclusive though, whereas the other was a PS2 exclusive. More similarities include you start off as a slave with debt to the same guy and have to pay it off to win your freedom. You once again can end the game as soon as you earn your freedom, but again it's just an abrupt ending and not the true ending. Once again, the fights take place in the Colosseums, including the big, exciting spectacle matches. There was this one time where I fought a fucking elephant. It does have differences though. Dialogue presentation looks a lot better, and I do like that. There are also 4 patrons who you can choose to fight for, with each having their own little story, so I do like that too. It adds to replayability. Shops and doctors have been reduced to menus, which actually works so much better, but I do wish you could still run around the little hub world that they had in the PS2 version. Training is no longer needed, as you earn your upgrade points from battles now, instead of training mini-games. If a match ends, you still keep your stuff, and there is now a menu box of downed enemies' items you can take rather than having to scrounge around quickly. And I really, really love that. Not fearing losing my equipment was such a plus for me. Combat is also basically the same, but now the arena is more caged in, which does make the matches go quicker. It also means I often bounce my opponents off the walls. A difference being, all health goes down together. If you hurt my head, my whole health goes down and not just my head health. It's basically the same fucking game, but just cleaned up a little, and with just a lot of little changes that I think make it better. There's still things that I like more about the first game, but for the most part, I like this one better. And this part's also better. There are different fighting styles, and I don't mean just you can have 2 swords, or you can have a sword and shield, etc. I mean there's 5 styles for 2-handed, 5 styles for sword and shield, etc. Although I opted to just keep using my basic style the whole game, as I had learned the timing of it and I wanted to keep it that way. Nicknames also exist, and they decide what the audience expects of you. So it's really important to get a nickname that fits how you play, or the audience won't like your matches. And sometimes their opinions make me laugh. Like one time it said I was unable to dodge at all, but the audience rated me the stuff of legends. Also, no time limit unless you play on a harder mode. In so many ways, this is the first game, but cleaned up and tightened for a better experience. I'd recommend this over the first game for sure. On top of that, you may have noticed I'm a woman. And that's another thing. You can be all sorts of races, and you can be a man or a woman, and that's a huge improvement. And on top of that, you aren't the only woman. You'll run into other women gladiators, and some of them have super cool armor. I do, however, miss the thumbs up, thumbs down thing that the Emperor would give you to decide if someone lived or died. That's absent from this version. But sometimes you get cool kill animations at the end. You can also upgrade your weapons and armor with matching symbols of the stuff you take. It really isn't something you can do until the later half of the game, but once you do, those stats can become fucking amazing. It also looked like at one point there was online play and DLC, so that's pretty cool. I don't have any of that though, but it's cool that they have that. The rank 1 guy was the same guy from the first game, and he's just as hard here. He kicked my ass almost every time. I had to be so fucking cheap to win because I could not beat him fair and square. Maybe if I practiced a ton and perfected parrying, but I don't got time for that. This guy's just a monster. Fortunately, you never have to fight him to beat the game. The true ending comes after you finish whatever patron story you chose. For me, I had to fight assassins outside of the Colosseum in order to complete mine. Then you meet Commodus, who's much younger in this game. He asks you to a sparring match, to which you can just straight up beat his ass in. You then have to kill his bodyguard, because he's a dumbass, which makes you Commodus's personal bodyguard. And then you have to kill Cassius, who wants Commodus dead, and he's the final boss of the game. And honestly, he's fucking nothing. I fought way harder than him. Then the game ends saying a thing like, you were Commodus's bodyguard, but no history books ever recorded of you. And that's it. That's kind of a lame ending. It's kind of a lame campaign, honestly. However, the gameplay loop of fighting in the arena and earning shit and then fighting again, it was a lot of fun. I love it so much. I really love this game and the game before it, but like I said, this one feels more polished. Sometimes less is more when it means the less gets more polished. Amazing game. I will play again. Ryse, Son of Rome is a game set in an alternate Roman history, which both lets it tell its own story and also is a shield for anything that is historically inaccurate. It is also an Xbox exclusive, which nowadays also means that it's on the PC, but what it really means is just that it's not for PlayStation. You play as Marius. He is a Roman centurion, and you go through mission after mission fighting the enemies of Rome. Combat is super fun. You got blocks and rolls for defense, you got light and heavy attack for offense, and that may sound basic, but there's a rhythm to it, a flow you get into while attacking and watching around you. In some ways it reminds me of Arkham's free flow, but it's different enough to not be that at all. Plus, it's not like you can take 50 guys in this game. It is a power fantasy, but it's not one where you can't be overwhelmed. I actually like the combat, and well, yeah, you gotta pay attention at first. Once you understand it and get it going, you can just get into this zone where you're predicting movements and fighting out a rhythm and making enemies in your way look like nothing. There are also executions. Each one you do can give you something, and you pick what it gives you. Could be health, could be experience, could be focus. I found myself mainly flipping between health and experience, and the executions are pretty cool. I will say it doesn't take long before you see all of them, and once you really understand it, it's really just a glorified QuickTime event, which I'm gonna say actually does get tedious. At first it was fine, but after a while I found myself wishing the execution was just a very quick animation or something. There is a focus meter that works like a rage mode and lets you kill faster. There are also sections where you shoot down enemies, sections where you give troops orders, and one of the coolest sections is where you command your men to use their shields to block arrows in formations. Bosses are actually quite enjoyable to me. They kind of remind me of Punch-Out, where I'm just memorizing the moves, dodging and blocking them, attacking accordingly. But what makes them extra cool is I just love how good they look too. I think that they look like a pretty badass fight. And once you get this little rhythm going, again, it can be pretty fun. This game should actually be called Rhythm, Son of Rome. Also, there's a whole ass multiplayer aspect to it, which I didn't really touch much. I played a bit of the multiplayer as a single player experience, and it was fine. It would probably be a lot better as a multiplayer experience. But the single player campaign is where it's at for me. I just love it. It's not too long and kind of reminds me of older games like Enclave and Lord of the Rings The Two Towers and the Return of the King game. It's just level by level action. Leveling up, kicking ass with new gimmicks. I especially love the one where I'm running on top of the building, kicking down ladders. Everything about this level reminds me of the Two Towers video game, and that will never be a bad thing. Story-wise, you are a Roman soldier who starts to see that often Rome is kind of the bad guy, or at least their leaders. So you end up becoming Damocles, a mythical figure known for killing Romans who betray him. At first, people think you are cosplaying him, but then you slaughter and then they become deathly terrified of you. Plus, they left you to die. They killed your family. You are basically the Punisher in the Roman timeline. So you're killing off dudes, fighting in arenas, fighting gladiator matches, and killing the Emperor's sons. Now you aren't anti-Rome. When you finally switch to becoming Damocles. You still are very pro-Rome and you want to help Rome fight Rome's enemies. You are just anti-Rome's current leadership. So you're going after their leadership, but you're also doing things to help Rome. And the final level sees you protecting the Emperor from enemies, but not just enemies. You're protecting him from Damocles. He's afraid Damocles is coming after him, and then you reveal that you are Damocles, and you kill off his guards and then him, and it's pretty badass. You do die though. Also, there are gods in this game. Like, they are real in the universe, and they are playing games and such with people. And honestly, if you take them out of the game, the story can play almost the same way. They aren't that important. I almost wish they weren't there, but their presence doesn't ruin anything either. Overall, this is a short, badass, fun experience. My biggest gripe is that you aren't Damocles for very long. And I'd rather have a couple less Roman levels and a couple more Damocles levels.